All right, Lions fans watching on TV this week, get ready. It's a nightmare. Jonathan Vilma again on the call.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, here we go, everybody. It is a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Yes, the number one sports podcast network. Matt Dery with you on a Wednesday, November 19 into Thursday, November 20th. Thank you for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Coming up on the show today, it's an unmitigated disaster. Fox has done it again. Jonathan Vilma for the fifth time this year. We will discuss coming up momentarily. Dan Campbell screwed up something that has been unearthed from Sunday night. We will explain. Campbell also says the Lions are an urgent team. Why did he say that? And I agree with him. And a scheduling snag for the end of the season, something the Lions are getting that no other team has ever gotten. And it's kind of a negative. We'll get into all of that right here on Locked On Lions. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Shout out to our everydayers who are out there, our everyday listeners that check us out on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel or on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Couple of huge Lions fans I want to shout out today. Wendy Lilly and Jacob Shaman from Cooper's Hawk in Troy. Thank you for being fans of mine. Appreciate all of you that check us out. All right, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I've got to discuss it because this is a big story. This is the big story, at least in my mind. And I started seeing it on social media today. And our executive producer, one of our everydayers, Nathan Litke, pointed this out to me. Jonathan Vilma, the Fox NFL analyst, he of the 6-7 variety now, dropping 6-7s every week. Jonathan Vilma is going to be calling the Lions game with Kenny Albert on Fox this week for the fifth time this season. According to Nathan Litke, Browns, Bengals, Vikings, Commanders, and now the Giants. It's been Albert, it's been Vilma, and Megan O'Leary, their sideline reporter. She's fine. Why? Why are we subjected as a contending team, as a very good team? The Detroit Lions for years. Do you remember when the Lions were so bad for like years and decades? And we would say, man, just one time, can we get a Monday night game where we could hear like Mike Tirico and John Gruden, or when Sean McDonough was doing Monday Night Football, or Joe Buck, or can we get a Sunday night game? Or could we just one time be on prime time? Could we one time get a Jim Nantz game? Or even an Iron Eagle game on CBS, or, you know. And now for the fifth time, we have to listen to Jonathan Vilma, who is terrible on the broadcast. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, you're blowing this out of proportion, or I'm going to the game, I don't care. A lot of people watch the games, all right? Ticket prices are ridiculous. I will be going to the game on Sunday with the Batdorf family. Turner Batdorf, one of our everydayers last few years. He has invited me. He has invited my wife. We're going to be in a suite. It's going to be great. And I appreciate the Batdorf so much. Jody, Mama Batdorf, the uncles, the aunts, the whole family. They love their Lions. And I am honored to be there with them. So I'm going to miss this. But I'm going to go back and watch the game later that night. I always review the film, and I don't want to listen to this goober who does not shut up, who calls Brian Branch Dion Branch, who calls Jahmyr Gibbs Jamar Gibbs, who last time he did the Lions and Commanders game said there's Christian Mahogany on the sidelines when it was Hank Fraley. He's not good. And yes, some of you sync your television to the radio so you can hear Dan and Lomas and TJ Lang. That's great. But that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's not like on the MLB app where you can sync the radio broadcast, if you want, you just pick audio. All right. And a lot of you have Comcast or Infinity or regular cable or YouTube TV, and you're going to be watching and you've got the I'm just telling you, this guy I'm sure maybe he's a nice man personally. This is not a personal shot. This is just on his performance as a TV analyst. He sucks. And he says stuff that makes no sense. And it's 3 hours. And it's after every play. Yap, 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 yap. So I feel for Lion fans that aren't going to the game on Sunday and have to be forced to watch and listen to this. Like how come we don't get like Kevin Kugler and Daryl Johnston? How come we're not getting Joe Davis and Greg Olsen? And I think I saw a couple of the other games online today that were announced. If I could find it, I had it queued up here and I lost it, of course. Where is it? I had it. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is terrible radio or terrible podcasting as I'm finding it. All right. So this weekend on Fox, Joe Davis and Greg Olsen are doing Minnesota at Green Bay. That's a better game than Lions Giants. I get that. Davis and Olsen are Fox's number 2 team. Seattle and Tennessee is Kevin Kugler and Daryl Johnston. What's a better game? Seattle at Tennessee. Tennessee's the worst team in the NFL. They got 1 win. Or Lions and Giants. Why couldn't we have gotten Kugler and Johnston? Not that they're great, but like, do you get what I'm saying? The amount of people that I know are going to text me and say, oh, he called Brian Branch Deion Branch again. It's painful. It's absolutely painful. And there are a lot of good broadcasts. I thought Collinsworth this past Sunday struggled. I didn't think it was his best performance, but some of it also had to do with the fact that the Lions weren't playing well. And it was a frustrating game to watch. But the broadcasts do sometimes drive you nuts, or you enjoy listening. I know there's some people that don't like Joe Buck. I think he's really good. Some people that think he was anti-Detroit many years ago and all this stuff. Bottom line is we're getting Vilma for the 5th time this year. I'd love to figure out and find out through some sources how Fox decides how to do this. And maybe they're like, oh, Kenny and Jonathan have done all these games for the Lions. They already know the team. We'll just put them there. But when you have to listen to Vilma just filibustering about nothing and nonsense and everything else, I'm so glad I'm not going, or that I am going this week. But my apologies to Lions fans. I have to put up with that for 3 hours. All right. Coming up next, Dan Campbell admitted something the other day that I want to get into in regards to the fake punt that the Lions ran Sunday night, unsuccessful fake punt on Sunday night in Philadelphia. We will discuss that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
I'm back on Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Matt Dery with you on a Wednesday edition of LO Lions. Do not forget, tomorrow, it's the crossover Thursday edition of Locked On Lions with Patricia Traina, host of Locked On Giants. Patricia's like a legend on our network. She's done the Giants show forever. She's super fun, and loves talking Giants. We will talk to Patricia Traina tomorrow for the crossover edition as the Lions get set, yes, to battle Jackson Dart, Mike Kafka, and the G-Men. Giants are 2-9, worst record in the NFC, and they've lost 5 in a row. Yet, Giants should have beaten the Broncos in Denver. Giants should have beaten the Bears in Chicago. Giants nearly beat the Packers at home this past Sunday. So while they're terrible, and while they can't stop the run, and while they've got issues, and they have like no weapons outside of Jackson Dart, who still is not a lock to play, although I assume he's coming back from that concussion. That's what I've read. Yeah, they're bad, 2-9, and coming into Ford Field this weekend in a game the Lions must win. Lions lose somehow Sunday as 10.5-point favorites, according to our friends at FanDuel. All hell's going to break loose in this town. Team's got to bounce back. Just play clean football. Let the Giants make their mistakes. They've got a couple guys on defense that have really had down years. Dexter Lawrence, Deonte Banks. Abdul Carter's been a bit of a mess as the number 3 overall pick. So Lions have got to win this game and take advantage and knock off the Giants this coming weekend. Again, a 1:00 start at Ford Field. First of 3 in a row for the Lions at home with the Giants, Packers on Thanksgiving, and then Dallas on Thursday night, December the 4th. All right, yesterday, Dan Campbell was on the 97.1 The Ticket morning show, Jim Costa, John Jansen and company, and he made a comment which at first I went, you got to be kidding me. At first I actually didn't go too crazy about it, and then I was like, wait, there's no way. And I want to read you this comment that Campbell made. I'm going to put on my Dan Campbell readers here. But the fake punt that took place on Sunday night, it turned out that the Eagles kept their defense on the field for that 4th and short. Campbell told 97.1 The Ticket yesterday, quote, "We wanted that, and we felt like there was enough consistent looks to where we were going to be able to get that." Meaning he was happy that the Eagles defense stayed on the field. We knew it'd be a little bit of a bloodbath, but yet we felt good about the looks going into that week. They snapped it to Grant Stewart, the up back. He, of course, ran into the line, and it was a complete disaster. Lions turned the ball over on downs. Eagles got the ball back. Campbell added, quote, "They did a good job. They were ready. We were not as good as we can be blocking that up front either." End quote. Stewart said after the game he had the ability to call the play off, but he liked the look, so they kept it on. So let me get this straight here because I'm a little confused. What do you mean you liked the look? If the Eagles defense, which, let's be honest, how could that be exactly what you wanted? If the Eagles defense that you couldn't score on with your offense, with Jared Goff, with Jameson Williams, with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with David Montgomery, with Jahmyr Gibbs, with Raymond and Tesla and everybody else. I'm naming the whole team, but that's the look you wanted, is you wanted Grant Stewart on a 4th and short, like 4th and 3 or 4, to just run into the line of scrimmage. And the Eagles kept their defense on the field because they snuffed out. They thought, hey, let's keep our defense on the field. Lions are probably faking here. How could that be the look you wanted? In that instance, and that one play did not cost them a game. They made tons of other mistakes. Right? They were 0 for 4 on other 4th downs that they went for. But if Stewart had the ability to call that off, punt the ball. If Dan Campbell looks up and says, or Dave Phipp looks up on the sidelines and says, uh-oh, is that Ojomo on the field? Is that Jalen Carter on the field? Is that Jordan Davis on the field? Wait, their defense is up. Timeout. Call timeout. Or signal in to somebody, to Grant Stewart. Punt the ball. That's the look we wanted. We wanted their defense on the field. That defense held your offense the rest of the night to 9 points. These are the kind of little mistakes that the folks that argue against Dan Campbell calling plays, this helps their cause because they say, you know what? When Dan wasn't calling the plays and not having to worry about looking at his play sheet, he was one step ahead. He was thinking, all right, we're going to fake this punt coming up if we don't get it on third down. But if their defense stays on the field, we'll have a signal, we'll have a bat signal, we'll have a backup plan to punt the football or take a delay a game or call a timeout or something. This was not Dan's best performance. And look, I'm a huge Dan Campbell fan. I think he has done a fantastic job. He's an excellent head coach. But this one, I'm a little bit surprised. I figured, Lions are trying to catch him off guard. But they admit that they wanted the Eagle defense out there? Why? That did not work. That was not right. And that was a coaching mistake. It just was. So hopefully they get that stuff kind of rectified here coming up this week. And don't even get in those positions where you're having all these the Lions just could not convert on third down. They only had a couple of conversions the whole night. And they've struggled on third and long all year. Third down and 10 or longer has just been an issue all year. Whereas in the past, man, this offense was clicking and the Lions were converting on third downs a lot. Something that Dan Campbell said today, I agree with, is that this team always plays with urgency and that they are an urgent team. If you recall, the Detroit Lions under Dan Campbell have not lost 2 games in a row since the 2022 season. So we're going back 3 seasons. 2023 did not, or when they won 12 games, did not lose 2 games in a row. Last year won 15 games. Obviously did not lose 2 games in a row, albeit there were only 2 losses. This year, same thing. When the Lions have lost, opening weekend against the Packers, bounce back against the Bears. Lose at Kansas City, bounce back against Tampa. Lose to the Vikings, bounce back against the Commanders the next week. Now they get the very sad and feeble and WWE Monday Night Raw, for those of you that saw this, with Scattaboo and Abdul Carter, New York Giants. There is no excuse for this week why they're not playing with urgency, which I think they will, and why they shouldn't win. Giants are bad. And the Lions have got to take advantage of what the Giants don't do well. And first and foremost, that's stopping the run. Dexter Lawrence has had a down year. Very good defensive tackle that just is not playing up to his standard. Lions have got to run right at them. And I said it yesterday on the show, and I'll repeat it. David Montgomery has to get more than 6 carries. They've got to find a way to get Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs on the field at the same time. But this Giants run defense has been booty all year. And what do the Lions do well when they're really humming? Running the ball, giving some confidence to that offensive line. And it's not the same line. I know. Last year at this time, we're talking about how good Kevin Zeitler was at right guard, Frank Ragnow was at center, and oh, wow, Glasgow's at left guard, but Mahogany fills in and does really well. Now we're sitting here talking about Coyote Awashika having to fill in at left guard. He's a fine backup. Graham Glasgow at center, up and down. Tate Ratledge at right guard, fresh off his worst game as a Lion, where his PFF grade was below 40. These guys can get some confidence this week, and I know it's the Giants, but it doesn't matter. You play who's on your schedule. All these Bears fans or all these Lions fans telling me about the Bears, and I get it. I still don't think the Bears are going to win this division. I'm not ready to crown the Bears or hand game balls over to Kevin Warren like the Bears did this past weekend, which was a joke. But they keep winning. They were 0-2. Now they're 7-3. You play who's on your schedule, and if you win, it goes in the win column. Lions have to win this game this week. You're at home. You're playing a rookie quarterback or Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston and Jonathan Vilma in the same building. Now that is comedy. But Lions have got to take advantage here and beat this Giants team, who's just a mess. Now, they've been in a lot of close games. They've hung in there, but they're overmatched this week. All right, coming up next, our crack research staff took a look at the schedule, and it's not technically, you look at the schedule, you go, hey, this is great. 4 of the last 7 at home. Favored, I would think, in every game, but probably 2. Probably Rams at Rams and Bears at Bears if Chicago continues to play this well. So you're going to be favored in 5 of your last 7 games. And by the way, for all of you Jared Goff can't play outside slappies, the next 1, 2, 3, 4. Next 6 games are inside. Next 6 are in a dome, baby. Giants, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Steelers, Vikings, all in domes. But a little scheduling snag I want to get into. We'll do that coming up after this. Locked On Lions for today, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NBA is back. Yes, Pistons playing great. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And folks, get in on some Pistons action. They are playing great. All right, so for those of you watching on YouTube, the readers have got to come back on. The schedule is very, very interesting down the stretch for the Lions, which I mentioned before. But with that being said, you're sprinkling in 2 Thursday night games, and who knows when that Lions-Bears game is going to be. Touchdown Bears, week 18. With that being said, listen to this. The Lions will play 3 games in 12 days and 2 games in 5 days down the stretch. So the 3 games in 12 days come up now with the Giants, Packers, and Cowboys. They go Sunday, Thursday. 3 games in 12 days. This year's Lions are the second team in NFL history who will play 3 Thursday games in one season. Of course, they're going to play Thanksgiving, next Thursday against Dallas, and Thursday on Christmas Day against the Vikings. Last team to do that was the 2022 Buffalo Bills. However, again, this is according to our research staff, the Lions will be the first team in NFL history to play 3 Thursday games in a 29-day span. Again, Packers, Cowboys, Vikings. From Thanksgiving to Christmas is 29 days. I sound like Mojo in the morning right there. Throwback, throwdown is the next song is shout out to Mojo, Radio Hall of Famer. Love you, brother. 2022, the Bills played the Thanksgiving game. Then they played Thursday after Thanksgiving. But their third game was the season kickoff game. So that was at the start of the year. So they didn't play 3 Thursday games in 29 days. What will that mean for this team? Is this team equipped enough to handle all of this? Now, remember, last year, I think last year's team overachieved based on all of the defensive injuries that they had. And yet still won 15 games. It caught up to them in the playoff game against the Commanders. They couldn't hang with Jaden Daniels. It was a rough game. But this time around, playing 3 Thursday games in 29 days, playing 3 games in 12 days coming up, and then the short week between the Pittsburgh game at 4:25 on December 21st, and then a 4:30 Christmas Day game. By the way, that will be on Netflix, and I'm assuming a local channel will pick it up like Fox 2 with Noah Eagle on the call. and Drew Brees, actually. Both Eagles, Ian and Noah, working Christmas Day. That's not going to be easy. And the Lions, for some reason, look, the Vikings guy had their number earlier this year. For the most part, the Lions have played pretty well with Minnesota. But can they weather this? I think they can. I really do. I think they can. There's enough veteran players here that with this weird scheduling, that the Lions can make hay here. The biggest issue is going to be injuries. Can they get these defensive players back? We'll find out later in the week. Is Davenport coming back? Is DJ Reed coming back? Is Rodrigo going to play this week? I think he's going to. When is Sam Laporta going to be back? Can they get Laporta back for the Rams game? Because he's a difference maker. So while they're playing for their last 7 at home, and while they're playing their next 3 games all inside the friendly confines of Ford Field, those are 3 games in 12 days. And then you got a little bit of a longer week as you get ready for the Rams, but then you got to travel all the way out to LA. Man, I'm excited for that game too, going up against Stafford again out in Los Angeles. They'll play the Giants at 1 o'clock, the Packers at 1 o'clock. Remember, Thanksgiving's now at 1, not 12:30. And then they will not have another early game the rest of the year, unless Lions and Bears doesn't have that much meaning and it's an early game or something in week 18. Knowing the Lions' luck, they'll get Jonathan Vilma again. Don't get me. I already did a rant about that earlier in the show. All right, tomorrow, Patricia Traina, host of Locked on Giants, joins us for the Locked on Thursday crossover brought to you by Prize Picks. That is tomorrow. We'll learn more about this 2-9 Giants outfit right here on Locked on Lions. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.